This is it. Let's go. What's up, Bobby? It's been a while, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's great to finally be here and get face to face. I know we've been talking about this forever. We've been
Yeah.
talking in general forever. I've been a big supporter of what you're doing. We've been trying to make this work for a while. Schedules, kids, those kind of things.
It's crazy. Yeah, we should have started doing that yesterday, but because of kids else, it's have been difficult. But we are there today, and yes, you have been very busy this year because you start your own show with your guys, and we will talk about the Dive Bar podcast. You forget your ad, but you're pretty sure you will put it after. Hey, this is a crazy season. Sadly, the season is still working, but the Dolphins are not there. Like sometimes, or I will say like usual, but we will talk about that. First of all, Bobby, what you can say for the French community, because football has become more and more international, and we have to grow in every country, and France is one of them.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. I think it's sweet that y'all are trying to grow and get that going over there and get it firsthand, so you don't have to just watch it on TV and odd hours of the day. You'll have some normalcy with that. And Jack Del Rio, that's a household name. That's a big name. That's a guy that's been around that knows football. That's a pretty good land.
Yeah, of course, and we will talk about that later because, as you know, I have a big connection with the Paris Musketeers, especially It's not the CEO, but it's kind of the president of the Paris Musketeers. But I can say the CEO. But it's a high-selling guy is there, and we're talking and we're working a lot to try to promote that sport and the Paris Musketeers as much as we can, because the European Football League is not a big league, and we have to be honest with that. Even if it's a professional league, it's not at the level of the CFL and of course the NFL. But everything takes its time, and day in day out, year in year out, these sports will grow in France and with the Paris Musketeers for sure. But let's start with what we love the most. I guess sometimes we hate the most. The Miami Dolphins, bro. Kind of a crazy season, right?
Yeah, very very Dolphin season. We all the hype coming in. Tua gets hurt week 2, and man, it's just a fight after that. We struggle without having a real quarterback in the lineup, and Tua comes back. We win a few, we lose some big games. Tua gets hurt again, and y'all know the rest. I mean, we missed the playoffs. It's disappointing. We got so many assets and money and great players right now, and it should be the most exciting time ever to be a Dolphins fan, and we just can't see it all put together as a whole.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it starts in the strangest way ever, with Tyreek Hill being arrested week 1, just before the game. It's almost set the tone for the season. I mean, because after that, nothing works the way we expect. What was that moment in Miami, by the way?
Yeah, so I was actually I was down for the game. I was with all the guys from the podcast and our wives, and we're actually headed to the game. We're all in, like, half of us in one truck, half of us in another truck. And Eric calls me from the truck behind us, and he goes, "Dude, they're arresting Tyreek outside the stadium right now." I was like, "What?" I thought he was messing with me. I was like, "Dude, you're not gonna mess up week 1 for me." He was like, "Dude, get on Twitter. They got him on the sidewalk." I was like, "What?" So I opened my phone, and sure enough, man, it was a mess. This is John's out there, Calais Campbell. I'm like, "What?" And I'm like stunned. But then I'm like, Tyreek's a troll. Like, maybe he's doing a skit. Like, I don't know. You never know a Tyreek. Maybe he's putting on a show. Like, I don't know. But no, man, it was real. And man, it really did. For a minute there, it killed the energy. We were all like just riding in a quiet truck, and we were all excited. And then we get the news that he's been released. He's in the stadium. He's going to play, and we kind of get back going again. And then, man, the game itself was stressful too, because like we're getting beat by the Jaguars, and then fortunately we come back and win on a game-winning field goal. But yeah, just a strange day, very roller coaster ride of a day.
Yeah, it's and the worst become after the game when we play on Saturday and Tua gets injured. Man, I mean, in week 2, we already know that it was a shitty season, right? I mean, what? And we lost those games that we should have won with Tua against, I mean, not playoff team, because that's how pass. We just win with non playoff teams. But in that span where Tua were injured, we lost that game. So maybe that's why we don't go to the playoff if we just took as a math analysis. So yeah, it was crazy how you guys handled that time, because I mean, going in Miami, living there, having going to the stadium and knowing that you don't have a real quarterback. First of all, not a real quarterback, but a quarterback do not know the playbook, because Huntley was just coming, and you can learn a playbook like this in a 2 hours session. So I mean, I was like, man, this is the old-fashioned season. I've been following the Dolphins since '96, so I watch so great games, but I watch so worst seasons. You know, that kind of season, or week 4, we're not going anywhere that season.
Yeah, it's tough, but like for me, I'm optimistic. So like Sunday, I'll be cussing and like mad and being like the season's over. Monday, maybe a little bit, but I mean, dude, it seems like every week by the time Sunday gets back, I'm like, oh, we're gonna win. We got it. Another week with Tyler Huntley. Like we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it all together, and we lose again.
Yeah, it's crazy. I have a commitment with my wife. So during the football season, we have agreement that I can watch my games and have the family, and so I never drop off that, because if one season I say, oh, this team is shit, I will not watch this season. You can be sure that the next season it will be a new negotiation to watch football. So anytime, even if the Dolphins are the worst teams on the planet, I will watch them just to keep my agreement safe.
Got to keep your contract in place.
Yeah, you have to like players, And talking about players, man, we will talk about the Drive Bar podcast, but man, you guys have the Players podcast. Probably the best players podcast. I know you will not say a lot of things you have on the book, but I'm pretty sure you have some pretty good thing coming for sure.
Yeah, so like you said, I appreciate the compliment. We do have a Players podcast. I mean, I guess that's the unofficial title that we've been given, is the Dive Bar, the Players podcast. We got fortunate, man. We started out the gate, got 1, got 2. Next thing you know, we did about 20 in a row last offseason, headed in a little bit into training camp. I've started reaching out a little bit since the season ended, and it's looking good, man. This all season should be special, man. We should be able to do more than we did last year.
So this is already one of the best of season for the Miami Dolphins content, social media, YouTube, for sure. And I'm talking about that because it's that probably changed your perspective on how you watch the Dolphins, because now, and you was before, but now you in front of everybody and public, having connection with players, and of course, if you want to have them on your show, you will not being so rude with them when they are maybe not playing at the level we should want to.
Yeah, well, lucky for me, I never really was that kind of person. I don't really go, and maybe that's why I'm where I'm at now, because I've never really gone on Twitter to disrespect people. And I can say that was a bad pass or you should have called that, but I never really go on Twitter and bash people and disrespect people and talk down to them, really. You can be critical of the game without being disrespectful to the human. And I've always lived by that. Some people like it, some people don't. But nonetheless, it's gained me a lot of relationships and firsthand relationships with a lot of players and people that other people can't get. So it's worked out for me. And yeah, it gets worse for sure when you have a podcast that's based off of these people giving you the time and, respecting you enough to come on your show. Yeah, you're definitely not out here saying wild stuff. Like you definitely, and also like on the other hand, we're supporting guys more than we did before because they came on the podcast, so like it goes both ways.
Yeah, and we our first thought goes to Tua, because he has been, he has a really great mental. If we really, I'm not looking at the production or anything we can arguing during those games that must-win game against a big team, and some people are questioning Tua for that or Tua for getting injured. I will say that he's not getting injured in purpose, by the way. I mean, he never want to have concussion, for example. So we maybe should have been a little cool with that. I mean, that's life. I mean, people getting injured, and this is it. It's not because you're getting sick most of the time on your work that people will trash you for that. So we have to be respectful. But talking about Tua is receiving very lot. I mean, very lot. Communities, journalists, they all are very hard on him. But again, he get injured, he goes back, he played at a good level. I got a great level because we all forget the Buffalo Bills on-road game. We were that close to win that game. And he played a heck of a great game. Last drive, they score. He did a great drive. So let's put some light sometimes of good players we are, but for any reason we're bashing them, and Tua is one of them, for sure.
Yeah, Tua gets a bad rap. I mean, he's polarizing, but he's not a polarizing person. But I think that's what makes him so polarizing, is because he is kind of like standoffish in some people's eyes. He doesn't really like talking to the media. He just likes like doing his job and going home to his family, and he doesn't really get involved in all the other stuff. And man, for whatever reason, it's made him quite the polarizing person. I think that the injury concerns are real now just because there's been so many. So like, that's a fair like argument. I think that he's a great player on the field. I think we're obviously our best team when he's out there. That's not debatable. That part is, like you said, that's not debatable. Like, we need Tua out there to be the best we can be. But that's the frustrating part, is Tua has missed a lot of games, a lot of critical scenarios. So, he's got to do whatever he's got to do to protect himself and be the $200 million quarterback and be there for his team. So whatever that takes, like you said, you can't really be mad at somebody for freak stuff. I mean, injuries happen. They have piled up on Tua. He has a little more than the average guy, but he's got to figure out whatever it is that is going to keep him on the field, let him play 17 games, and put us in our best position to be in the playoffs. Team's too good not to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, of course it is. And he has a long-term contract now, so we know he will play at least 3 years more with the Dolphins. So we can every time saying against him, we want to have a new quarterback, but he will not happen for next season and the season after for sure, I guess. At least a team want to trade for him, but this is it. And, it's like Geno Smith. I mean, Geno Smith was trash all time. He come to the Seahawks and look, he has a revamp career. So sometimes it's just matters of combination of coach, player, but also good timing. I mean, good timing. The timing has not been so good for the Dolphins last season. We have a lot of injuries. This season again. But the good thing with this season, last season I was like concerned because we only goes to slant, drag, hyper focus Tyreek Hill. And so we could see at the end of the season from last season that people get adjusted to that. So it become more difficult, And this season, I saw a lot of good things. First of all, the running game more involved. Devon Etchen much more involved in the passing. By the way, I have a great feeling of Devon Etchen finishing on your podcast, but I'm not saying more. Don't want to spoil anything. You didn't tell me nothing, but I have some feelings sometimes, and I have a great feeling that he will finish on your show one day, and it will be awesome. But look at Devon Etchen. He's a great weapon. And Mike McDaniel, even if sometimes we can question him, his coaching and play calling, the using of Devon Etchen and Jonnu Smith, I will talk to the offense first, have been amazing. I mean, those two players are the two type of player we were waiting for last season. We said all along last season we should to involve more running backs. We should to involve more tight ends. Even if Mostert have so much touchdown last year, we didn't run the ball a lot. And this season we have more balanced football offense, and I think it's work. It worked.
Yeah, I think it was a much more balanced attack. I I think the run game fell off a little bit towards the end of the season, which was frustrating and kind of hampered us a little bit. Because, man, in that stretch when Tua was out, man, the running game was awesome. The running game, like, really came on. It was doing whatever it wanted. And when he came back, it was good for a week or two.
Yeah.
Then a couple injuries. We lost Austin Jackson. And then it was just after that, it would seem like Alec Ingold even was missing a couple games. He got banged up. And after that, man, we really just couldn't run the ball the same, it seemed. But, yeah, Achan's awesome. I think next year you might see more Jalen Wright and Achan playing all over the place as a true weapon, which he already does, but you can use him more that way. And, man, Jonnu's been awesome. Jonnu came here. He's had great years in the past, but he's kind of been in some of the some bad teams, bad situations that haven't really benefited him. But, man, he came back here in the offseason. He said he wanted to get back to his peak shape and back to where he wanted to be physically so he could be the best person he could be on the field. And, I mean, there's nothing to complain about Jonnu. He was awesome this year. I mean, all-time best tight end season ever. So, I mean, it's hard to complain about that.
Oh, yeah, he had a Pro Bowl season. I mean, he should have made the Pro Bowl like a Jason Sanders forever or Zach Sealer. And talking about Jonnu Smith, he was your second or third guest on the show, right?
Jonnu Smith. I think he was fourth. I think it was fourth.
You have Blake Ferguson first. Tyreek shows up a few show after, right?
Yeah, it was Blake Ferguson, Alec Ingold, Tyreek Hill, Jonnu Smith.
And Jonnu Smith. I forgot Alec Ingold. And you was famous with Jonnu Smith because he trashed all the Buffalo Bills, and even today, Cameron Wolf took that.
Yeah,
I mean that's amazing. Just for us being just, and I say for you guys because I was not part of that, but just having fun, talking about what we love, creating content for the community, and having those kind of connection. I mean, it's crazy. So, two thumbs up for you guys, by the way. Joe and Ghost of Adam Gaze, but I don't remember the name. I'm sorry, but you're true with Eric. Your four are just great. And Jonnu Smith was talking on your show that he's working hard to have a big season. And look, facts, he has a big season.
Yep, that's true.
And to finish the offense, we have to talk about maybe something I think we talk since Richmond Webb quit the Miami Dolphins, the offensive line, man. I mean, I let you speak about the offensive line. I don't want you to enter on that because our golden guests have been Teron Armstead. So, man, I have to saying just positive thing about the offensive line. By the way, the offensive line, it's not that bad. I mean, but yeah, I'll let you speak about that.
Yeah. So I think that the problem with the O-line is not so much like we have great pieces on the O-line. I think it's the weak links. So, like, it's like that old saying, you're only as strong as the weakest link on the chain. So, like, if it's everything's awesome, but one spot is a total liability, then everybody's going to pay the price. So I think that it's just getting a solid player at every position. I think, Armstead obviously is an all-pro, as good as it gets. A pro's pro. He's great. I mean, the body, sometimes he gets banged up and the body breaks down on him. But I mean, he gave it his all this year. He probably had his best season as a Dolphin, and he laid it all on the line. And, if we don't lose Austin Jackson, maybe it's a different story. I thought Aaron Brewer was an awesome addition. Yeah. We have a center for sure moving forward. Aaron Brewer was awesome. I mean, we lost Connor Williams, plugged in Aaron Brewer, and he probably was better. And that's an awesome thing to say. And he's young. So you got a guy in the middle of the defense or the offense moving forward for the foreseeable future. I think that they just got to get those guard spots right. The interior is so important, especially with a quarterback like Tua, who's smaller, who can't, he's not 6'5". He can't see everything. Like, I think you really got to keep that, the stuff in his face clean. So I think that, and the run game. Guards are so important in the run game, especially in our scheme with the inside-outside zone. So we really need to just, whatever it takes this offseason, pour the assets right all the way into the O-line. Just build the wall, finally do it, and get it over with. It's so frustrating. Like every year, we all know we get on these shows, we talk about the football team. O-line needs to be better. O-line needs to be better. O-line needs to be better. And, and they'll tell you that we're more concerned than they are or whatever. But I think the noise is loud now. They know they need to go fix the O-line. There's no way around it anymore.
Especially because I don't know if Teron will stay at Miami. I mean, he has a contract that can be cut for saving cap space. I don't know if Logan Paul have been enough promising to putting in a starter position at left tackle. I don't know. Maybe Austin Jackson staying on the field in the entire season, and you just focus on guard, and you can have a great offensive line. You never know. But Brewer, I mean, sorry for the accent when I'm saying Brewer, but I don't know how to say it in the same way like you. I should love to say it in the same way. But Brewer, I mean, it was one of the signing that we all questioning when they said the signing. Aaron Brewer, we were like, is he enough good? Yeah, he struggled a little bit in Tennessee, and he's probably one of the best, if he's not the best addition with Jonnu and Callis of the season. I mean, I'm saying that, but I have to put some respect to the linebacker position too, because they were so good. But to finish the offense also, I forgot that, but I have to talk about something that it's a little tricky. What about Tyreek, man? I mean, I'm sure you're texting him every day asking, hey, are you staying? Are you not?
I reached out to Tyreek like the day after it happened. We talked a little bit. We didn't get into are you staying? Are you going? We just had a good conversation. It was a good, he told me some things he was feeling. We talked a little bit. It wasn't nothing like down to the details, but I think Tyreek he's a competitor. When he came on the show last year, he talked about how pissed he was after the Chiefs playoff loss. He said, I went into the locker room, I punched my fucking locker. He was like, I hate losing. He was like, that money's good. Money's great, but winning's everything. I like winning. Like, he was like, that's above everything. So I think he's a competitor. When you're the best of the best and you can't be the best of the best due to circumstances or not having a quarterback or whatever the case may be, it's frustrating. That's the first time in his career he missed the playoffs. So, he plays through an injury, he puts it all on the line for nothing, essentially. And I think he just got caught up in the moment. I mean, we'll know more as everything unfolds. Obviously, a lot of things have happened. So even if he realizes he messed up and he wants to be here, do the Dolphins overlook that and say, okay, let's do this? Or do they want to move on? You don't know. So there's a lot of moving pieces to that. There's a lot of opinions online right now. Fans are upset. I've never seen an entire fan base damn near switch on a person so fast, which, I understand it. I mean, he definitely could have went about it a better way, probably behind closed doors, obviously. Not in front of the world, but that's how it happened. And that's what we got. So that's how we got to handle it. And I think we'll know more as the offseason gets going. I don't think it's something that's going to drag out till training camp. I think we'll know, like, when free agency and everything, new league year starts, they're probably going to want to make a decision on that. With him being such a high-profile player and having such a big contract, you really want to handle that as soon as possible.
And I understand what you're saying about the people out there being very, I mean, one day they are in, one day they are out. Because, I mean, we made the playoff 2 years in a row. It didn't happen since, 2001 and 2002, I guess.
Yeah, something like early 2000s.
Yeah. So with Dave Wanstead, I guess it was the first and second year when he was coach. Whatever, it's the past. So we have to talk less about the past for the Miami Dolphins, because it's so hurtful when you know that it's been 50 years that we didn't won a Super Bowl. It's hurt, but for people it's because last year we really felt that it was like a playoff and maybe a Super Bowl, maybe, I don't know, but final conference type team build last year. So the minimum, I guess, the fan was expecting is to go into the playoff again, and not reaching that. I mean, the people goes crazy because it's always the same thing. Always same old Dolphins. It's injury. We fall in dramatic way. We should won. We didn't won. For some reason, the last game of the season, you have to compete against a team who play reserve team, like the Broncos. The Broncos was
Yeah.
playing the Chiefs, but it was the second team. So it has to always be like that. We never have to like a real last week when every team is playing they're against other team that want to, because the New York Giants played like never that game. They really want to upset the Dolphins, but for some reason we don't have the same chance. And I guess this is why. And people get maybe a little tired of, I mean, I would not say Mike McDaniel, but the way they communicate. The way we communicate stuff, like everyone is coming late after meetings, stuff like that. This isn't the right way to communicate, because it's maybe not really. I mean, it's like I feel that they're throwing candies to people to get speak each other and not seeing really what happened, and like the defense. You look at the defense all season. People was like, season is not good enough. Defense not good enough. Defense not good enough. And when you look at the numbers of the defense this season, it's almost a top 10 defense of the league. That is crazy. For some reason, we love to always look at the wrong direction. What talk about the defense? I know you like the defense, so
Yeah.
I guess you will have Kelly Campbell too.
Well, I can say this. I can say I understand both sides, because I say this too. At the end of, I think they had a top 5 unit, if I'm not mistaken, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, and that's awesome. I think the problem is, much like the entirety of the Dolphins, is in the big games against the real teams, they can go from being a top 5 defense to looking like, how the hell do these guys even play football? Because like, that's my biggest issue with the Dolphins in general, but that's the truth. Like, they looked amazing down the stretch, and then they went into Lambeau and no one knew how to tackle. You know what I mean? I think we had like 16 missed tackles or something. It was like a record. And I get it, the weather, but like, that's one of your biggest like criticisms. You can't go prove everybody right in prime time on Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? So my problem with the defense, and I think the defense overachieved by all means. The defense overachieved. Anthony Weaver in his first season had a really good unit. I think everybody can agree with that. The problem was when Josh Allen came into the building, or, a top team, they found ways to take advantage of our defense. They found the ways. So, hey, and, one more year in the system, Weaver, I don't think is going to get a head coaching job. He should be back year 2, get a little bit of, continuity in the building. That should help. And, work on the trenches a little bit. I think we can beefing up the D-line, add another linebacker. We're going to need some safeties. But I like the defense, but I do understand some of the criticisms because, like I said, but that falls on the whole team. In big games, when the lights are bright, it's kind of all the same, Yeah,
and again, we have so polarized. I tried that word. I should not.
Polarizing.
Well, yeah, you heard him. Always in the bad direction. I mean, everyone was focused on Poyer, the secondary, bad. But I miss the time we have a good D-line. And this season, the D-line was good. I mean, Sealer and Calais Campbell. I have to remember Randy Starks. The last time we have a great, D-line. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And you have in the linebacker position, I mean Brooks, and you have the one who come from
Tyrell Dotson.
Dotson, yes, and they play very good, and Anthony Walker shows up and have a pretty good games too. I mean, that was good, and I really feel it was good. But for some reason, again, Jalen Phillips injured. Shaquan Barrett retired after week one, before week one.
Yeah.
Bradley Chubb didn't show up the entire season. Ogba is good, but he's not enough, and you have to give time to Chop, because when you see at the end of the season with Chop, imagine Jalen Phillips being on the field, man. I mean, there is always something. That's why maybe it's frustrating for people, because we know that we need to win against good teams. We need that. We need positive record teams. But in the same way, we need to have the stars who align in the same time. We have a great football team. I think the offense, even if we can say anything, and I am the first one who's questioning maybe the play calling or the feeling of the game. Sometimes I see when we're playing positive teams, positive record team, or playoff contender teams, I think sometimes, but I am someone in my catch. It's easy to talk. I'm not saying I have the good view. It's just my amateur feeling. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes I'm saying we're not playing the way we should play in that moment against the team. Sometimes I'm like the Lions yesterday. We're doing stuff that we should have not doing, because maybe we are stressful. I don't know what's coming, but I know this team wants to prove they can beat a positive team, and can be your best friends to getting better, to improve, or your worst friend because it getting you frustrated. And I guess this is what happened with the fan. They're getting frustrated and they want to have someone to a guilty. Some game it's a Poyer, Tua, McDaniel, Tyreek Hill. Man, we have Tyreek Hill on this team, and we are saying he should leave. I mean, are we crazy? Are we crazy?
I mean, hey, hard times, man. Hard times will break a good man. So, like I said, I get the criticism. I mean, people should be fed up. I mean, you watch, like you brought up the Lions game. You watch a team like the Commanders, who went from like a 2 to 3 win team to beating the Lions in Detroit, headed to the NFC Championship in 1 year, because they built it right. They got a new owner. They got a new GM. They got a new coach. They got the right quarterback. Now look at them. They went and got the right vets. They've got a good team of young and older players. And it's working out for them, It's not always apple for apple. You can't just say, oh, look what they did. Why can't we do that? Because a lot of things fell their way. They're very fortunate. A lot of pieces just fell right into place. Dan Quinn is a guy that's been around the block before. He knows what he's doing. He calls a great defense, and they end up getting the rookie of the year, in my opinion, and one of the best quarterbacks in the league now. Honestly, we're past all those conversations. Jaden Daniels is the man. He's one of the top guys now. He's proven himself already. That helps. I mean, imagine how much helps if we go take Josh Allen from the Bills and put him on our team. We're automatically that much better. Like, of course, a lot of things went their way, not taken from them. They had to make these decisions, and they made all the right ones, and they got it all right. And I think they have like $95 million in cap space this offseason. God.
Yeah, man.
I might have to change to a Commander. I might have to change to a Commanders podcast.
Maybe we should. But you know what? I like what I said to my wife. My wife asked me someday when we were younger, "Are you loyal with the one you love?" I say, "Hey, listen to me. I'm with the Dolphins since '96. I'm a French guy, so I can pick any team I want. No one will come to my city and say, oh, you was for the Dolphins first. Why you go to the 49ers? So I pick that team. I stay with that. Be cool. I mean, if I'm still a Dolphins fan, you can be cool. Okay, if Scarlett Johansson shows up, maybe I will change. But we never know. That's a joke. But this is crazy because you talk about the Commanders and the Lions, and in both teams you have the Dolphins, because the look at the Lions from last year to this year. What is the difference? They have so many injuries. I mean, we know that surely the team have to face injuries. That's the part of the game. So we can't take that as an excuse. But if you look at the Lions, okay, they have so much injuries. They were first seed, so they are a resilient team. But yesterday, you can see in the defense, they missed their starters. because they have so much injury on defense. Again, the Commanders did a good game. Like you said, Daniels scramble and kill the defense in the pass, man. That game yesterday was a very good game, and it was 5 a.m. in the morning when and so I have to stay awake. But it deserved the shot.
It was worth it, man.
It was a good football game. But if you look at the Commanders, almost no injuries. So sometimes that is a factor. And for the Dolphins, he has been a factor for the last 2 seasons because, I'm not saying they will win against the Bills, against the Packers this year in Lambeau. I will not saying that, but it helps when you have the maximum of the starters. And I've been saying that with my whole coast is a coach in Canada, and we say that every time you will miss a starter with the Dolphins, a good starter, it will be tough for the team because the second string of the team is not at the level that maybe help to be the next man's up, which is not the case in the offensive line because I feel that every guys who stand up after someone get injured did the job. You have Jones, you have such a great player. Logan Paul shows up some games because Teron of Austin was injured, and he did a great. So we have some good, some bad. I think it's the good thing for the Dolphins for the season.
Real quick.
Yeah.
You keep saying Logan Paul.
Yeah. No. Oh man.
Patrick Paul.
Patrick Paul, man. I think I'm saying that since the first time of the show.
Yeah.
And my bad is the actor who passed away. Man, it's kind of great. No, Logan Paul is the streamer. YouTube. Man, Patrick Paul, man, and it was the peak of my guy, man. So It's on live. I can cut it. So it's for me. So
it's all good.
Patrick Paul. And it was the peak of my guy, Richmond Webb, man. But
that's true. That's true.
So to finish with the Dolphins, what we could expect for next season? It's very early, but what we could expect? They will cut some player to free cap space, stuff like that. What you tell us some stuff, Bobby?
Yeah, I think I think it's really a tricky offseason. So I think it's going to be hard for them to hide their hand. I think you're going to know exactly where we're headed through. Like most off seasons, you really don't know. Like, are they all in? Are they kind of like just trying to get by? I think it's going to be very obvious this off season, and it's going to be a weird off season. I think because I don't know that they'll go and be as aggressive, restructuring people and creating cap space and adding new players and all that again. And now I don't even know that you can even afford to cut people like Bradley Chubb, which was like everybody's first thing. Everybody's first offseason move, because it was so easy, is cut Bradley Chubb and create cap space. But I'm not so sure that's your number one choice anymore. I mean, look, we got, man, the Tyreek situation makes it tricky. Jalen Ramsey, he's another guy that's a veteran, Pro Bowl type player that, you don't know with these players, like where their head's at. So like, does he want to be here for another year if he feels like he's not contending for a championship? These top guys, everybody wants them, but the reality is they want to win. They don't want to just be I'm the best in my position, but I don't care if we win. No, these guys want to play for championships. And this offseason, that's what they got to really can you fix this current team enough to compete for a championship? Or do you got to realize that we failed the rebuild and this isn't going to work? And I think they probably won't make that choice, obviously, like verbatim. They won't say that, but I think this season will prove that. So I think if it fails this year, everyone's gone. I think that they're here to stay, but like if it fails this year, you're looking at Greer, McDaniel, Tua. I think they're going to do a full reset. But if they can somehow find a way to create some cap space, fix some of these big holes and depth, because that's our issue. You kept bringing that up. Depth is a big issue on this team. It's very top heavy. You got guys like Tyreek and Jalen Ramsey, but it's the guys under them. It's the guys that, like if we do like the Lions, they lost like 22 people this season, but just kept on rolling because they had the depth. The roster structure was better than ours. If we lost 22 people, we'd be trying to play in the France League.
Yeah.
Like that's the difference. Yeah, I know.
That's a great idea, Bobby.
That'd be awesome for you, but I'm just saying, like, the roster structure is terrible. Like, you keep pumping, you got like 3 players that cost like 30% of the salary cap on this team. We got to work on finding out how to build a team with $5 and $10 million players. And you got to hit on the guys. When you get a chance to hit on draft picks, you got to hit them. And, that's the difference. And I don't know. I'd love to give you a black and white answer, but like I said, I think this is such a crossroads, especially now with the Tyreek situation and other guys. Calais Campbell, is he going to retire? Is he going to play another year? If he does play another year, is he going to come back to Miami? Teron Armstead, is he going to retire? Is he going to come back? If he does come back, are we going to keep him? Is he going to want to be here? I mean, you got this is like all your best players. Kendall Lamb might retire. That's another offensive lineman. Like some of the stuff that you had going for you last year might not be here. So you had big holes. Now you might have more holes, and you got less money.
You have less money. You have so much question mark. Bradley Chubb, what they will do with him. You have to resign some of the great players that have been just signed for 1-year contract. What you will do with them, and again, you're running off the contract of your QB1 too, because you have a span with him of 2-3 years, because it was a 4-year contract, right? With the 1-year option, it's 5th at the end, right?
Yep.
So you are on your time. You should took the best of your QB because it's prime. So it's a tricky off season, because if you go for a rebuild, I mean, it's you will lost almost all of your great player you have on the team. So and you give to Tua the same thing he has in his last season with Flores, secondary wide receiver, who are not first wide receiver in other teams. So it's kind of crazy. If I can share my opinion, I will say you can give your contract to your quarterback being in the playoff the last 2 seasons, and just this season didn't go to a rebuild. It would be a nonsense. But in the same time, you have such a bad money cap space that you have to find something. And the best way to clean your cap space, it's to sell the house. And so you get free to all your contract. And you know that restructuring, you just put your problem for next season. And every time you do that, it's a problem for next season. So you're still in the problem, but you are artificially good for the season. So I mean, I don't know, but it will be so a shame for the Dolphins as a football team. You have Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Ramsey, you have those players, and you just enjoy 1, 2, 3 seasons with them. I mean, that is crazy. I mean, it will be so shame for the Dolphins. Remember, since yesterday, we are with the Browns, the second streak of not a team not going to the final conference. So you don't having a better karma by rebuilding your team. You know that we will be in the same position for forever. So I don't know. They win a lot of money for manage that team. So they have to find the solution, and we will see what they're doing. But I guess in the draft, they will going for player who can have immediate impact, not promising that they did last season.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you know how maybe where they scheduled to go on what type of player for the draft? They maybe not sharing that for now.
What type of player?
Yeah, they're going for the draft.
I mean, we can all look at the team and see the obvious needs. I think that O-line has to be at the top. A big nose tackle type guy, another defensive tackle to go with Sealer. I think you're going to have to get a safety at some point. So safety could even be the top. I mean, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see a safety at 13. That would make a lot of sense, especially if like a guy like Malachi Starks from Georgia is there still. That could be a home run pick at 13. It's crazy because this is what really made me realize how bad of a job Chris Greer has done, in my opinion. When we went over the team needs as a group for this season, headed into the offseason, it was the exact same needs from last year.
Yeah.
It's like they did a good job of adding talent to the team, but didn't really fix any of the holes and things that held the team back last year. So for 2 years in a row, they completely ignored our biggest problems and even laughed at us and said it was crazy to think that they should be worried. But so I can sit here and tell you that we need obviously offensive linemen, but they might not think the same. But I don't know. It's still early in their process. I mean, the season hasn't even ended. Obviously, that'll come. Rumors and stuff will start coming out about who they want. And I want to, just so we're clear, I'm not saying they're going to rebuild this offseason. I just think that their moves will indicate the future.
The future.
So I don't think like in 3 months from now, they're going to like cut everybody and go into full rebuild, because I don't think they're going to rebuild with the same regime. So I think that they'll either really try to get aggressive, like you said, and restructure and kick the can down the road and get desperate to fix this team and be aggressive, and that's okay. Or they'll do like put Band-Aids on it and try to just fix what they can with little minimal assets. And if it doesn't work, then everybody knows that they're out and that it's time to reset and restart and everything else.
And again, you have your QB1. I mean, when you do that, you do that because you will try to find the quarterback of the future, having the first or second pick of the draft. Look at the Commanders. They throw their elite player 2 years ago when they, remember during the season they trade away. Man, he didn't play. The pass rusher. They draft.
Young.
Yeah, Young. They trade away almost the entire D line.
Yeah,
but the draft after that, they didn't go to a quarterback. They wait until they feel that they find the right one, and look at what they did. I mean, long story short, Dan Quinn. No one was talking about him last season as a potential head coach of the year. When you're going into the right time with the right player, everything goes good. Look, Dan Campbell was the coach favorite for almost every fan in the league. And since yesterday, he maybe not the one, the favorite one. Everything changed based off results of stuff like that. But for the Dolphins, I guess they have to try to find the best balance on continuity and trying to reshape the salary cap, because this is what affects those when you have, like you say, 22 injured, you still to have a great structure of your team. And we can see it this year. You lost Tua. We didn't have a QB2, a real QB2. So that's a problem. Hey, let's talk about Richmond Webb, please, for just a few minutes, because as you know, we try to campaign for him. We try to.
Oh yeah.
He has just 2 years left as a modern era. I guess everyone knows the process, but just to explain the process again, you have 20 years of eligibility as a modern, 5 years after you're getting retired. So you have 20 years that you can have a maximum of 5 modern era players being elected every year. And so he's in his last 2 years. The season after the next year and the year after that is his last 2 seasons as a modern era. After that, he will fall in the senior group, and we all can forget that we will be alive when he will be elected, because it can take 50, 60, 7, maybe 100 years to be elected, because every team has like 3 or 5 players in the senior group who has the potential to be an Hall of Famer. For us, it's Kuchenberg and Clayton. We just have 2. So we have been very lucky to have a lot of players being inducted. But Richmond Webb is the actual modern era Dolphins player who deserves the most. And by numbers, far, he's really deserving to be in the Hall of Fame. And what we're trying, because we are just a fan, and because we are just a fan, we have just a small window of some stuff we can do. It's to create awareness. And the things I'm looking for next season, it's try to bring as much, and I say I, but it's we try to bring as much as people on social media and maybe in the stadium promoting Richmond Webb career. And you know what, Bobby? It's funny because every time I say Bobby, I remember Bobby Digital song, Bobby, and it's coming to my head, when Reza, we have to find a way to all gang together on that and try to promote as much as we can. And sometimes you guys will be surprised how much views numbers on social media matters and we did some great job last season because we hit like a 60K views on Twitter when we try to post some stuff. You have Darius Rucker retweeting. It was huge, a huge help. But we really need to have more. We need to have more testimonial from players, former players. Of course, the high selling will be Dan Marino or Bruce Smith. Bruce Smith is one of the really cool arguing who was his best and toughest challenge when he played. But I'm not saying please help us, Bobby, but at some way, if someone feel that Richmond deserves to be in the Hall of Fame because he has the number and the credentials to be in, it's now or never. At the end of the next 2 seasons, if he's not elected, we all forget you, me, and others will not be there anymore, and especially Richmond will not be there anymore to receive. Or if he will, it will be like Steve McMichael this year. I don't know if you remember someone who was on a medical.
His wife was there.
Yeah, in a medical bed. So we all want to see Richmond in good health when you receive that, and you know better than anybody. If you ask him to come to your show, he will go in instantly, and you didn't need to ask so much. So what we can do, and to be an all-together group, community, international community, and try to push the best as we can to create the awareness on social media.
Yeah, I think this year was a good start. I mean, like, you're pushing that pretty hard. Obviously, I shared everything and I want to say Lisa does a lot. Yeah. So I try to share everything I can.
Ashley.
I retweet everything. So I try to gas it up and get it out there as much as I can. So I think this year was a good step. I mean, to be in the semifinalist
for the first time,
that's a big deal. That's a step. That means, that's progress. You always just want to see progress. I know that every year is different because you don't know the crop of talent. So, next year's talent might be better or worse. You don't know. And that goes a big way of who's going to make it or who's not going to make it. That's waiting, And I really thought this year was going to be the year looking at the crop, but it wasn't. And it is tricky because, like you said, 2 years, it sounds like, oh, he was a semifinalist this year. Next year, he should be, a shooter. Yeah, he should be in there. And by all means, I hope that is the case. But you just never know. And if we know anything, the Hall of Fame it's weird how they do this because it never really always makes sense. Because, like, if you do, like you was comparing him to someone else, if you do that, it's always like, well, this guy should have got in way before that guy. But it never works that way. I don't know if it's the politics or who the voters are or how that all works out, but it always seems to be a little weird how they end up choosing people. But you're right. If anybody's deserving, it's Richmond Webb. I mean, he's the epitome of consistency. This guy was just the same dude for every game his whole career. Like, and you're right. And as a human, even more deserving. And that says a lot because he was a great player. Because you're right. He has time for everybody. He always has time. I mean, every time I get on Twitter, it seems he's on a different podcast. He's showing somebody else love, giving somebody time. And with that being said, every time I got on Twitter the last 3 to 6 months, I seen a Richmond Webb to the Hall of Fame post. I mean, there was a lot of support. So I agree, man. Richmond Webb needs to get in. I mean, we don't have a lot of Dolphins in the first place, so we need that for the culture. If nothing else, we need to get Richmond in there to help our numbers. But he deserves it as a player and, more importantly, a person.
Yeah, of course. And you have to remember that Bruce Smith averaged almost 1 sack per game in his career. A little less, but it was almost 1 sack per game.
Mm-hmm.
He faced 14 times Richmond Webb, 3.5 sacks. So the numbers dramatically drop against him. And if you remember, when Don Shula was the coach, the Dolphins was a pass-happy offense.
Mm-hmm,
so, of course, we know the quick release of Dan Marino. Some people are saying that because of that, but on third and long, and most of the time, you know that the QB needs his time. He not always throw the ball in less than 2 seconds. It's not true. If you look at the games before in the 90s, you can see that most of the time Richmond did his work not to avoid the sack, avoid the pressure, which is most important. So I hope for next season we can make help to Richmond to go to the final, because in the final, in the process of the Pro Football Hall of Fame process, when you enter to the final, you've been discussing. You have a committee with all the selectors, and they're discussing the case of the 15th finalists. Until that, they're not really speak about a player as a committee. So I think it's important next season he goes to the final, even if he's not making the Hall of Fame. We will be in a position for the last year as a modern era. What you guys doing? Are you electing, or you let him fall to the Hall of Fame, and we'll all know it will take forever? That's it. So that's why I think if we all love the Miami Dolphins, we all love the player, and we all love Richmond Webb because he was a legend on and off the field, we should take a minute every time to just retweet quote. It's great to quote again and show and being respectful and not questioning the selectors, because they are humans, and every time they're seeing people questioning them what they're doing, they cut. So that can affect a Richmond chance. So this is what I'm saying. And for the last part of the live, we have to talk about France, man. Not because you're going to France soon and we will have a great time, man. You will visiting all the bar in Paris. Be careful, my friend, because you will see what is Paris in that time. But to speak about that, we have to speak about the Paris Musketeers, who just signed for their head coach for the next 2 years, Jack Del Rio, and for a team who has been created 2 years ago. 3 years ago, and playing in a small league, I will say, without being disrespectful, because it's a league who is improving every year, but it's still not a major league in the world of American football. It's a huge asset for the team, for the league, for the awareness of football in France and Europe. And I know that you DM me for that, so I think it's great. I mean, people are speaking. Not a lot, but speaking now a little more about Paris Musketeers.
Yeah, that was a big one. Like I said, myself, that's a perfect example. I was on Twitter yesterday morning. Me and you were talking, and it was yesterday or Friday?
Friday.
Okay, so Friday, yeah.
You forgot when we talk together. It's like a bad couple. It's like a bad couple. We know each other since a while. That's why.
Yeah, well, we talk so much I can't remember. But yeah, I'm scrolling Twitter and I see that and I'm like, Jack Del Rio, whoa. And yeah, I immediately reached out to you and was like, man, Jack Del Rio's coming over. That's a big move, man. We could talk about that on the podcast now. That is, man. That's a household name. That's like you said, for a league that is just getting started, to have a name that is, well recognized and that big, that's huge. And that'll be huge for the program too, because not just getting the name, but you're getting the coach, you're getting the experience. You have somebody now in the building that can coach and implement the game in the highest form. So I think that's awesome. I don't know much about the league, and I'm not gonna act like I do, but I do know that can't be a bad move. Having a guy that's coached football at the highest level, with the best athletes in the world, who has been around the game for the last, 30 years, 40 years, is going to have a lot of knowledge, and he's going to be able to, install and teach things that probably aren't accessible to you.
Yeah, and you know what? It's important, because if you took that on perspective for the next decade, if it's growing that way, it's also give a chance, because we all know that there is a very small chance that you can have a French player in the NFL. It's not like the NBA, because basket in Europe is a great level. So when a European guy goes to the NBA, we know that he can compete. Jokic have been MVP. So you have players that didn't go to the college, but have been very good in the NBA. It's not the same thing on football. On football, you have to follow the process. Your best chance is to play in college before to go to the NFL to have a real chance, because they are the best athlete in the world. And the competition level, it's maybe at the highest in any sports that you can have in the NFL. So you can't come from France and being a starter in the NFL that way. There is to have a process, and we never know in how that this can be developed if they are coached in-house by a former NFL coach. This is a good start. And if we start younger, it gives a better chance, and we never know. Because I know it's important to have international game for us. For you guys, it's not good, because you have to wake up early to watch. It's your time. It's your turn to wake up. Not as much as us, but it's not the same way to usual Sunday football. But you know that to promote a sport, you have to have players to follow. And to not have a French player, Spanish player, you have German player or English player who have played in the NFL. But for France, you have to have a player. For us, it was Tony Parker in the NBA. You remember? So we don't have that in football. So for the Roger Goodell, you want to make as much money as he can as a business brand. He need to have more than just international games. This is not enough. This is not enough. Because the people going to a stadium watching an international game are already fans. It's not the new one that you're chasing for. But if you have a local team playing at a good level, having a great player, and you can start following football in that way, playing football, young flag football, stuff like that, this is where you start growing your sport in other countries. When we go to Madrid, you will probably have the Madrid player squad, soccer, football, promoting that to help. But for the soccer fan, they will not going to watch football, because they will not understand. So it's a long process, and it's not just watching a game. You have to understand the rules, strategical stuff, because if you start talking about the scheme, Bobby, you will lose a lot of people here. That's the reality. So I hope with Jack Del Rio and with national TV, because the national TV is aware, is putting now the Paris Musketeers player games, which is a good help. With that and the NFL, it's help. And because remember, you go to France, you say, do you know Tom Brady? You maybe have in between 1 and 20%, maybe 2 saying yes. The 18 other will say, oh, we know Messi and Ronaldo. So we compete against soccer, which is not offense, maybe the greatest sports in the world. So the most famous one, So it's a long road for France. And I guess with Jack Del Rio and some great results with Paris, and we can promote and have a better view in France. And you know what? I'm looking forward to you coming to Paris and watching the Paris Musketeers. Because you know what? It's funny. The European Football League, it's where it's in the off-season for football. So you don't have a game in that time. So you can pick a time in May or June, and I visit you the Eiffel Tower, stuff like that, and we go watching a football game. But hey, man, be cool, huh? The level is not the same. Huh?
No, experience is experience, man. I'd love to do it. And the good thing going your way is I wouldn't have to. It wouldn't be hard to convince my wife to go to Paris.
that start always with that. For Richmond Webb is the same thing. His wife wants to go to Paris, but you guys always like, oh, I don't know, French, ça va pas.
Yeah, if I tried to convince my wife to drive 4 hours for a football game, it'd probably be hard. But I could probably get her to France for sure.
Don't worry, my wife will take your wife going to Paris, Champs-Élysées, going to shopping, and we go to watch a game just between us. Don't worry, just one day. It's a good deal.
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Hey, Bobby, thank you very much. It's been a long while. We have to do with that. Just for the record, it was not the best time in France because at that time you don't have so many people connected. And for you guys in the morning also, but hey, it's a good time. It was a great moment to do it, and I'm looking forward to have another, time that we can share with the thing. And I forgot just one thing. Sorry for that. Just promote your channel, please. The Dive Bar podcast, please.
First of all,
and your team.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm glad to come on your channel. I love what you've been doing. I love that your passion and how much energy and time you really put in. I know that you really care about this. So first, thank you. And I think highly of you. Even if it took 2 years to make this happen, it's not you, it's me. I got a crazy schedule. But yeah, this was cool. Like you said about the timing's weird. I can honestly say this is the first time I've done a podcast drinking coffee. So that's different. That's cool. I woke up. I woke up at 8:15 Central Time. And I go, he said 10, but that's Eastern. Oh, wow. I got a podcast in 45 minutes. That's why I reached out to you.
Okay.
It's 9 a.m. my time. And so I set up for the podcast and my wife went and got coffee. But anyways, yeah. So I do the Dive Bar podcast. If you're in America, you probably know a little bit about the Dive Bar podcast. So we're a fan-based podcast, but we have NFL players, high-level players on there. It's if you want a true different experience firsthand with top NFL talent in a different setting, they're more cutting up, laid back, talking about, more than football, laughing, then the Dive Bar is your place. If you want to, get to know players on a personal level, hear more about their story, see them in a different setting where they're laughing, cutting up, maybe talking a little shit. But nonetheless, we've had a bunch of players on: Tyreek, Jonnu, Alec Ingold. Okay, I don't want to name them all, but in this year, we've already got a ton booked for this year. So it's going to be awesome. I highly recommend coming over and giving us a chance, especially for like the people in France and different countries. I don't think there's a better way to get the insight and the one-on-one perspective of the NFL players like we deliver. I really think we do a good job in that. I take that very serious. I'm very proud of the product and the setting that we've created. All the players afterwards are always like, dude, that was so cool. That's nothing like anything I've ever done. Like, thank y'all. They thank us, which is truly humbling for creating that outlet for them because it's just different than anything else they get to do.
Yeah, and the long story short, Jeff Darlington come to your show, and it's him saying, "Hey, we're doing it or what?" So you didn't need to asking him. You find the whole story. I will not share the whole story. Go to your channel and watch the episode. But you have this. A lot of people are putting that, and it's amazing. And you know what I saying? You have the Pat McAfee show.
Mm-hmm.
So the Dive Bar podcast in the same way, just dudes having fun. You have strong and real stuff sharing. You're not just throwing your thoughts. You're also saying sometimes inside story. You have player coming and sharing. This is great. So it's the best way to have a great thing between just a regular fans podcast like I can have, and for example, the Pat McAfee show, you guys are in the middle. So it's the best. It's the best place to have a great time and have a great fun because you guys still don't have a producer behind. You have a producer, it's Eric, but you don't have a producer saying, "Oh, you guys don't need to say this, don't say that."
Right.
No, you're
Yep.
still free. You're still free. So this is a good time to
Absolutely.
be. And how many subscribe? You have 2K?
About
I
to
don't
hit
remember.
2K. The
So
problem that we're seeing is we're so big on Twitter
yeah,
that
on
and
Twitter, yeah.
people just get our content on Twitter. But I think we might have to go exclusively, at least for our shows, on YouTube.
Yeah, and if I can share, for example, I don't have the Twitter premium account, so that's why this live, it's not visible on Twitter. If it was, we will have so much more people interacting today. That's a thing. But it's true that you have so many people watching and didn't subscribe. So I will say this: these guys deserve not 2K, 10K for at least. So I will say just for every Friends fan, subscribe to and all over the world, subscribe to their channel. They need to have 2K soon, and they need to have 10K before training camp, because you don't tell me nothing, but I know you, and I know the connection you have with some of player, because some player talk to me sometimes too. You guys will have a great off season, I'm pretty sure, and not just player, journalists, and guys that you know on Twitter, like Jeff Darlington sharing. You will have other guys like this. So, for example, a Lions quarterback, a whole Lions quarterback. I mean, we know him for safety, but I will not say more. But this is it. Hey, sir. I will not telling you to invite me, because you will drop off your audience with me. But you know what? You guys can come to my show, whatever you want, just sharing, and it will be so awesome to share with people. Not just you, the entire team. It will be so great. So looking forward for that. Thank you, Bobby, to taking your time on Sunday to join me and have a great talk. And let's see if the Dolphins can do something to make us feel happy, and just saying, go to hell other New York or Buffalo or New England. We have to be the number one team in this division, man. Okay, sir.
Appreciate you for having me.
Thank you very. Subscribe to that channel, please. Follow Bobby on social media too, because he can give you some inside story during the off season. So I know you don't want me to send you like a beat writer, but it's kind of I never know how to put you on. I don't know if it's fan, beat writer, in the middle. I don't know. So
look,
Bobby.
I think I'm a fan that was fortunate to meet the right people and build relationships, and now I have resources. But I'm just a fan. I'm a fan, and I happen to build some relationships, and I like to share them with the world. So come over to the dive bar. Come over on Twitter. That's my username right below me. We could do it. We could build some relationships.
Before I cut the live, you can't live without saying a French word. So
all right, what you got?
Up to you saying. Do you know a French word?
I don't.
You don't know one?
I don't think I know one.
You don't know merci? Merci, bonjour, merci. Yeah, that's
bonjour.
It. Thank you.
Yeah,
bonjour, merci. So hello, thank you.
I know bonjour. I knew it, but I didn't know. I don't want to say the wrong. I think it would be better for me to say I don't know than to say the wrong word, and then people are trying. I do got this though, as I showed you earlier. I got this sitting behind me.
Okay, sir. So you can be my next guest in Paris, and I will make you visit the entire city and the good food. The good food, man. Because something that's very good in France and Paris, it's the good food, man. So let's enjoy that. Hey, Bobby, see you soon, and everyone put positive comments on him, because I think that we will have more upside on with the replay. See you guys. See you, Bobby. Have a great day.